G'day there, legends. Calvin here, and we are here to talk about captains now. Trying to do things a little bit differently this year, just to, keep up with the cool kids and get on trend. But trying to pump out a little video each week to talk about captains, as well as the cool table that is there as well. So let's just have a look at, let's go through some players that are not in my top 10 firstly. So Josh Dunkley, he didn't make the cut. Good vice captain option though on Wednesday night if you have him. He only scored 83 in the grand final against Melbourne, so I still think he's going to be okay, especially if you don't have one of the big boys there. Cripper is against Richmond. That's on Thursday night. I don't mind him either, just based on his Amy form after that 141 that he had. But against Richmond last year, he had 87. So different player now, of course. Dusty loves these games, and he had 131 against Carlton last year. And in his last 4 round 1 games against them, he's averaged 103. So he's always a nice random pick. Vice captain on the Thursday night, not a bad play either. Into the other games across on Friday night. I thought Jack Crisp, a lot of people have him in their team at the moment. I thought, man, he's got to be a Marvel specialist, and he is. So he averages 126 in his last 3 at Marvel. The problem is against St Kilda, he hasn't turned up in his last 3. So, look, he's in your team. Probably not as a captain option, but as a good, solid defender. And he had a 95 in Amy as well. Who else didn't make the cut? Josh Kelly, he's been awesome. He had a great score, 122 in the Amy. My problem with Josh, let me just double check. Oh, yeah. In his career, 15 games against the Swans, his highest score is only 113. So if we're looking for a captain, that's a Saturday night game. I don't think you can go to him, nor can you go to Lachie Whitfield, who only had 84 last year against the Swans, and 2 of his last 8 scores have been tons against them. Kicking into the Saturday night, Lachie Neale is up against Port Adelaide. 106 in the Amy. He's been really good this pre-season. He didn't actually play against Port last year, but as we know, Port Adelaide are actually very tough to score against. So I know the Crows suck, and they suck bad, but not one midfielder for them got over 90 against Port in the Amy game. So look, this is at the Gabba. He should be fine. I'm just saying, not a captain option. Jared Lyons is an interesting one. He didn't make my top 10. He usually made it heaps last year. 81 in the Amy for him. Probably not enough to warrant as a captain selection. Round 1 last year, opened his account with a 95. Porter tough. Tom Mitchell, groin complaint. I don't think you can go in on the Sunday relying on him to have a massive score. He only had 84 against North last year. So I just think we've got better options. I don't think you want Tom Mitchell bringing it home on a Sunday afternoon. Was that a 110 game? Me mate Gaff. Gaff's up against Gold Coast. Now listen, he nearly made my top 10 because these are the games he dominates. At home, against the Suns. He only had 70 on them last year, but he usually goes well at home. You just couldn't do it. It's just a no. Right. Let's go through the top 10 now. We are looking at the top 10 players that I think you could have in your, as your VC and definitely as your captain bringing it home. Jack Steele, number 1 for a reason. Look, the reason I really like him, 157 on Collingwood last year. And as we know, Collingwood give up points. Listen to what these guys say. In the Amy, so we're looking at Kelly, Taranto, Canelio, and Ward, all GWS midfielders, averaged 121 against the Pies in the Amy. And I know it's only the Amy, but this is what Collingwood can give up, as Jack Steele found out last year. He only had 86 in the Amy. Not a concern. Don't worry about that. My second best option is Jack Mcrae. Look, he loves round 1 games. He had 135 last year, 143 in the Amy, and he smashes Melbourne. Oliver, just an absolute jet. 126 is what he averaged on the Bulldogs last year. He's always going to be awesome. And in the same game as well, we've got a lot here. Max Gorn. Now, Max has been awesome. Great numbers against the Bulldogs. Round 1 last year, everyone remember this, came out and he scored 73. So if that's a flag for you, but he could be a vice-captain option, easy free hit. Little flag, though, for Max. Only 1 ton in his last 5 at the MCG. Brayshaw's in my top 5 just for the fact that he plays the Crows. He's got a good record against them, and Port smashed them up in the Amy. Touk Miller's an interesting one. Now, he slips down my rankings a fair bit considering what he did in the Amy. But last year, round 1, against the Eagles in Perth, he only had 68. Now, the rest was history. Okay, I get that, but it's just a small flag, and you don't want a small flag bringing it home. That's a Sunday night game for those people who have him. But hey, it's Touk. Best scorer from last year. How could you go wrong? Number 7's Petrarca in that first game on Wednesday night. He should be awesome. 136, 129 are his last 2. He only opened his account with a 90 last year, though. If you want to see that as a concern, I don't. Who are we looking at next? Ollie Wines up against Brisbane. I like this one because of what the Bulldogs did to Brisbane in the preseason game. That was the one where Mcrae top scored for the Amy series with a 143, plus he was amongst 4 other players who got tons against him. Number 9 on the list is Zach Merritt. Zach's always good squeezing on the end. He's up against Geelong, who are usually tough, but last year he had a 143 against them. And also like Brodie Grundy up against the Saints. He averages 128 in his last 4 against them. Anyway, guys, good luck this week with your captain option. You should have a few early vice-captain targets. With that said, though, remember you need and you want 30 green dots this week unless Mcrae comes out with a massive score of a 150. Then maybe you could get creative. All right, guys, good luck. Catch you next week.